Very good evening again. And today we are here with a new topic. And before I introduce myself, I would like everybody to know our know our guest. And before you, here is Robin Verma, who is a lawyer by profession and a speaker by choice, right? So here, today we are going to talk about the importance of life learning and education in the society. So he will be talking about all these things, and hopefully that you'll come to know a lot about uh, uh, means the importance of education and the importance of lifelong learning. Basically, we've been for years together, and he is a very nice person, I would say, and he is very thoughtful, and I would say he is uh, well qualified, and he talks on different topics and on different, I would say, uh, different aspects of lives. So today he's gonna share his experience with all the people, and would be giving new learnings to the audience, right? So I want him to start talking about the topic and giving some new insights to the people listening to it. Over to you.
Okay, very good evening, Gideon, first of all. And for your just slight information, it's been more than 15 years since we are in touch. So it's been our 15 years of companionship, right?
Yes.
And the most interesting thing about this companionship is that the half of the time we got disconnected completely, but we can experience the passion, the fervor is still lives within us that somewhere joins us together whenever we meet. So that is the beauty of this relationship. That is the beauty of this companionship. So we
Yeah.
learn a lot of things from each other. There is no doubt about it. Since we are now starting this new activity on this new platform, so I'm really happy about this, first of all, because this is only and only for people to know about things, and also we want together to have their experiences from their personal life so that we could advance our life in a more further objectivities so that we could really appreciate things around us as well as we could live everything at a subtle point, because life is life only when you live the subtleties, right? So leaving this apart, I start the very topic that you have raised, and this topic is really beautiful, by the way, because this topic, somewhere presents you a holistic, you can say a very view towards life, a standpoint towards life, because it includes everything. It includes all possible aspects of life. Because today we are talking about learning, and in fact, we are talking about lifelong learnings, right? And its importance, its significance. Now, if I am to start on this topic, I would love to start, you know, I usually start with, because, when you talk about life learnings, and especially when you talk about learnings, we must understand that learning is no less than a nectar, a kind of nectar. And as long as we feed on it, we have a chance to live. And the time we stop doing this, there will be no life within us. Naturally, if you ask me, or whenever people ask me, I generally respond to them that life by nature is lifeless. What makes life alive is that rationality of humans, is that logical aspect of human. Otherwise, there is no much difference between humans' life and animals' life. Like they are also somewhere, chasing their bread and butters and fulfilling their biological needs. And same is the condition with us. But what makes us different is that our rationality, and this rationality, somewhere, thrust us towards knowing the very subtleties of the universe and those very tiny and the micro details of the universe. So you can say, in other words, that it is a kind of objectivity, a relentless and an endless objectivity of life. So learnings can be identified with an objective, right? the objective which has no end. And therefore, we can say that, for example, when we have a vehicle to run, so this body is just a vehicle, right? And the fuel which we use to run the vehicle is much similar like this learning. So as long as we have this fuel within us in the form of learnings, I believe that our life will be very persistent on the path, very consistent on the path, and very keeping up with pace on the path, so that the life could be one more, you know, you can say reviating, more, you know, fascinating, as well as more experiencing at last, right? So therefore, I say learning is the most important thing in life, and we can't expect as human beings to be looking upon life without this very aspect, which is called learning. And therefore, it's very important for every one of us and for each of us to actually give a due credit to this importance of learnings. Unfortunately, it is also seen altogether that learning somewhere has been missed out in the life, because learning also requires your conscious efforts, some deliberations from your side, which requires some consistency from your side too. For many people, it's considered to be a wasting of time. But at the same time, when you consistently do this for a longer period of time, you become an expert, or you start getting some forte over that particular learnings. So learning in many ways are really helpful, and the this helpfulness of this learning cannot be or should not be undermined. So this is what I have to say about. But apart from this, what I would like to add to this very point of learning is that we today, as going ahead in our life, we see that learning has come out as a most crucial, you can say, aspect of human beings. Why I'm saying crucial aspect? Because it has become more dominating, part of our life, because it has the ability to dominate things up, to to make things clear to you. I mean, how many of us, if I ask personally, to be very careful and to be very conscious about the very purpose of our life, only few people would confidently say it. However, anyone could say about it, but the idea about their life would be vague and fuzzy. It won't be that much, transparent, very clear. I think with us as a part of life helps us to know several things altogether in this life. As I told you, and I started right from the beginning of this video, that this universe is full of uncertainties. This universe is full of those micro details. And these micro details are there for us to get engaged with them and to know more about it. Many people may ask me, and may ask anyone who says that what is the reason of learning and to know all these things, how it's going to be helpful and how it's going to be an assisting instrument or tool for all of us. I would say that if you look at that particular point, or if you understand the life from that standpoint, then you will find that life is lifeless. There is nothing. If you treat this life in that way, then obviously there is nothing much interesting about life. But since we are bestowed upon with this kind of rationality, we are bestowed upon with this kind of ability to apply our consciousness, discretion power. So it becomes prerogative, or at least for all of us, to apply this in a more effective manner, so that maximum fruits could be born out from this. And this could only be possible when we have this very passion and avidity towards learning. Make sure when we talk about learning, we should not forget about its a very, this very some significant parts and kinds. We are living in a social system today, and this social system has its own particular kind of structure, and every structure has its particular kind of, pedestal, you can say, or you can say a particular kind of, a very point or a layer which has its own particular requirement. Okay, and that requirements has its own particular kind of system of learning. You cannot know that particular point until you understand that learning. So for example, if you want to know about more economic aspect of the social system, you have to be engrossed in the learning of economic system. And so is the condition with political system. Someone is looking for becoming a good politician, or to know more about how the politicians work and how this political, aspect of the social systems functions. And for that reason, we have to learn more about political system. And this goes, you know, endlessly and almost encompassing every single point, leaves nothing. It is the inability of us that we cannot, just cover and give a good coverage of everything. But at least as being human, we at least can try as much as how we can learn about it. So on this point, I would like to, just like end my point since you asked these very reasonable questions. So I would say that learning is what you can, in my opinion, is a fuel to life. And as long as you have this fuel, you are happy to run this very cabinet. So that's all. Over to you.
Yeah, so one more question, which I often miss, which I often get asked by my students, that once a person gets, employed, start doing a job, so they find it difficult to keep learning, because then they don't get enough time to study. But as we are talking about a lifelong learning, so how can a person manage, means how can they strike a balance between their professional life, and then they can also start learning to live a very best life of its very best life, so this is something which you have to talk about. So how can a person become a lifelong learner if they don't have enough time, or they don't have enough passion to learn? Because you should be passionate, if you want to learn throughout your life. So can you please shed some light on
Yeah.
it?
Yes, yes. By the way, I mean, learning is something that has to be treated as an object of worshiping, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when you give this very regard of high reverence to a certain object, you cannot make such excuses like this, that you don't have time, or you don't have that particular kind of, a very moment on which, or the time on which you could do this, or you could actually learn something. So first of all, you have to, consecrate this all kind of process. This very learning process needs to be consecrated. For example, when we, established a kind of idol, right? Or we have to just like put life into that particular idol through the consecration process. The same thing we have to apply here in the process of learning. By the way, I mean, learning and your personal life can not can never be seen as a two different, entities, or two different separate, you know concepts, or you can say two different things. I rather treat it as one unified, life. Life without learning, or learning without life, is something impossible. Second important thing is this: learning can be of various kinds, as I told you in my first part. Now you have to be very much clear on the point exactly what you want to learn. There is a very famous proverb called, if you don't fall for one thing, you keep falling for everything. So you have to make a stand for one thing at least. So if you have developed a passion for learning one particular thing, then your dedication alone can really help you bear a lot of fruits for that. Until unless you are unable to identify what exactly you want, what exactly the field you want to go in, then perhaps it will be difficult forever. So, I mean, first of all, if you are busy in your lifestyle, or whatever the profession you are engaged with, I think it's better for you to just have a relook and revisit over the particular learnings, because I still believe something which comes out of your hobby, something which you are highly, passionate about, and you have intense zeal for that. Okay, I don't think anyone could even think of making excuses of why he should not do this just because of some hectic lifestyle has been there with that person. So I think there is always a lack of passion in that learning. And when you have a lack of passion for learning something, you can outright reject that particular learning because you don't know, but you really don't like that particular learning. So you better go and switch to something else. For example, when I become free, my passion for learning guitar these days is very much intense. So I have been learning guitar for last almost 2 years, right? Now I cannot say to myself, I mean, that I don't have time for learning guitar. Whenever I have time out of my professional life, or whenever I have time for me, even I try to manage time for that because this is my passion. Something which is your passion is your life, right? And when something is your life, you cannot deny this very life because we are all cravings for that life. We are already running after this life, right? So how can you even make excuses for that? So my response to this is you have perhaps selected or opted for something wrong learning for you because you don't have that passion for that. Otherwise people won't make excuses like this. Yes, over to
Yeah,
you.
very nice because I can relate this to me as well because I'm so much into books. I'm so much into writing, and although I don't have enough time because I devote my 10 hours of my life to, or I would say I devote 10 hours of my day to my job, and then I'm left with very little time. But still, I make time for my writing and for my reading because I'm so much into it, right? So
Right.
yeah, whenever somebody is passionate about something, no matter what, they'll somehow make time for that particular thing. And this has been very well said by you. My next question is uh, means what is the role of these educational institutions in promoting this lifelong learning, and how far they have been successful in this?
I mean, I'm personally, I have been a bit disappointed. I cannot, just like blame all forms of institutions, education institutions, but by and large, I'll say that most of the institutions have miserably failed, especially in reaching out to this very meaning to be well, you know, you can say imparted with all those students, right? That what is the importance of learning in the life of a student. Unfortunately, due to this unjust prevalence of capitalism everywhere, we have somewhere missed out the very essence of life. And I told you right in the beginning of my part that the essence of life is that your consistency with something that you learn, not you are forced to learn, right? So there should be a voluntarily act with of your volition is what is your action, right? And when you are forced to do that thing, you are not willing to do that, but you have to do this just because of those norms and standards have been established before you, and there is no way out for you to just like overlook those. So you have to trade upon all those things. So somewhere you miss the very essence of life. So from that particular thing, I think education institutions have somewhere been on the wrong path. So they have first of all miserably failed in just imparting this very importance of learning, and whatever they have done so far in the name of learning as a part of teaching to their students right from their elementary level, it is confined only to the aspect of materialistic learning, right? So I don't think this materialistic learning is at all for you to have you this relishing, you can say relishing a part of this universe, right? For example, when you go into materialistic lifestyle and considering it's your only learning, then you somewhere miss every possible thing of learnings because you are hell bent on consuming things as much as you can do, and you keep calling it your learning, right? But unfortunately it's not learning. It's just like a new way of exploitation, right? So you can either identify this word learning as exploitative instrument, right? which is now with every student today, and this is what is being taught to every student. You go and just teach on, just listen to the teachers what they speak to the people, to the students and their peoples. For example, what you are going to do after this 12th standard, and how much you are going to have as a package, this and that. Your entire life is confined within the boundary and the walls of your package, right? No one is talking about social moral development. And what about learnings of this also? So I don't think this is helping much, but I also appreciate those NGOs. There are some NGOs and intergovernmental organizations which are working at least, but I'm not sure how much it could be effective so far on this. Yes, over to you.
Yes, so one more question, which is really relevant and which is very important is that what kind of impact the society will have if this lifelong learning is promoted, and means what kind of world we have if people start adopting this kind of thing. Um, yes.
Right. I mean, I would love to respond by saying one critical aspect of human being is that humans are by nature prone towards falling into depression. This is a by nature trait. We are inherited. People accept it or not, but this is an inheritance to us. And for this, we don't need any genes to be transmitted into us from our ancestors. I mean, we are thankful to the overall, environment that has been, or the milieu that has been around us, and which is sufficient to, push us into this depressive lifestyle. So everyone knows that not all days are same, and most of days are depressive for many of the people. Now, when people have this learning in their life, and people after realizing the importance of learning in their life, at least I can ensure, or at least I can confidently say that they would have a bigger reason in their life. See, the helpness of human is that humans are, just like, gifted with those extraordinary tools as many animals don't have. But just because of we have these tools like brain and everything, and we don't have anything for this brain to act upon it, then ultimately we will more be, you know falling into in this depressive lifestyle. So when we have learning, and when we are more, intended towards learning with our conscious efforts, I think our life would be more busy, as well as it would be more constructive. And who knows, with all these learnings, you may just like establish a new milestone for other to achieve it. So at least you will have a bigger objective. As long as you don't have objective in your life, I think the life is going to be very difficult, because it is not possible to embrace uncertainties with empty mind. An empty mind is a devil workshop, right? So therefore, at least learning keeps your mind, keeps your brain busy, as well as keeps feeding you things. For example, when we feel hungry, we need food, and it should be there with some urgency, right? At the same time, when we are free, our mind is free, we need to have something learning as a food to us, so that we could actually feed upon those learnings, and we could actually make our neurons to be more active. Otherwise, these new neurons, once become separated and completely dull, then it will be very difficult to reignite them. So learning is really, really important to make life busy, and to at least be free from all those kind of bad omens and the premonitions people have usually, right? Whenever they have their free mindsets, they keep having bad and negative thoughts. So at least it would protect them, from having such experiences. Yes.
And do you think if a person keeps himself busy learning new things and exploring new avenues in his life or in her life, their relationship is also going to be, I would say, it will refuel the relationships. It will help them build up in a good relations, and consequently promotes healthy environment around themselves.
I mean, I think I in the beginning of my part, I said that learning is also an opportunity to have you more exposures. Like, and we really can't see and experience everything sitting at one home. For this, we have to be, passionate about learnings. And when you see around, us, and when we see different lifestyles, when we see the proof, people's problems, and we try to get into that, we become more, sensitive. I think learning can play a very crucial role in developing this sensitivity in us, and especially due to the time when most of the people have become so much indifferent and apathetic, where they have lost the sense of sensitivity. So what about talking about interpersonal skills? People are losing this time interpersonal skills just because of they have lost their connections, and they have almost lost in living a coexistence lifestyle, right? Maybe due to this emergence of technology, maybe due to this emergence of too much of technological advancement, which has been relied by the humans too much, and therefore we have almost been disconnected completely. So I think this learning can not just give you exposures, but also will provide you extra sensitivity. It will infuse sensitivity in you so that it would be reflecting through nurturing your own relationship. You will be more caring towards your relationship. You would be more, you would be more thoughtful and very much conscious about a relationship, because relationship is something which seeks an urgent assistance on all grounds, economic, social, moral, and everything. And learning in this plays a very key role because it keeps your mind engaged with things up. It also makes you sensitive, because your mind becomes sensitive, you become more sympathetic towards people, and when you become more sympathetic, automatically you will have a feeling of caring for people, you become more compassionate, right? So I think it's really, really helpful for maintaining a good relationship with people. Yes.
Yes, as we are talking about education as well, I want you to tell me something more about it. That as we know that we have got education which is actually promoting this materialistic approach or materialistic kind of mindset in people. So what do you think? What kind of education should be inculcated in people's minds so that they can not only become rich and means good human beings. At the same time, they should also become very sympathetic, and very I would say caring and kind and compassionate towards other people, so that we can have this world. Means it will be then a kind of heaven on earth if this happens. So this is something which you have to tell me, that what else should be added or what else should be incorporated in our education so that people can become kind and compassionate and more caring.
I always think whenever I'm alone that it is the right time to revisit on the education and those kind of curriculum we set for all those academias, right? And for all those students. Why I'm saying this? Because we have been so much consistent only in one direction for last 250 years, especially right before the advent of industrial revolution, right? And from then till now, we can see almost a progress in one field, and that is in the field of technology. We haven't done much in the field of spirituality. We haven't done much in the field of moral, awakening. We haven't done much in the field of, maintaining, coexistence. On this, all three fronts, which I call three true pillars on which a social system can be well erected. I think education system today needs to be very focused on these all three pillars. And for this, few important things must be added as a new, education, element to this new education system, is that how you can shift your overall, mindsets from materialism to bit spiritualism. I don't say that materialism can be completely denied, because its existence must be there with the people, otherwise the existence of human will be impossible. Because since we are all materialistics, we are made up of atoms. So atom is an element and matter. So we cannot like say that we are completely complete without this existence of materialism, but at least we should be more sensible about its importance. We should be more thoughtful and sufficiently adequately educated about how much it is important for us. So you can include this learning as a new addition to this education system as to how you become more compassionate towards your nearest environment, to which you call your immediate resource, just because of you have a too much of instruments and AI technologies and many more things at your disposal, and that helps you just pace up your exploitations, especially on this environmental, ultimately leading this environmental to a kind of cataclysmic kind of situation, which is somewhere will be the end of the entire mass of this of this world or this planet. I think this new learning of the spiritualism, if it is well settled and as well as being clearly forward, because you can't gain anything unless you have a strict and an intent of serving this element to the right category people, to the targeted populations. What if we have everything in our subject, and when we are missing a good teacher to impart this thing with the students? So we need some intentful teachers and professors, so that they could actually divert the mindset of the students through the introduction of this new learning of spirituals awakening and moral awakening, so that a little bit thing could be good about, or could be better about this nearest environment. So I think this is the much needed thing for all of us, if you really want to see this universe, this entire group planet to survive more and thrive more for another 500 or 1,000 years.
Yeah, one last question, because I think that is very compelling question. Because being a teacher, I know that what's there in the education. So I've seen that even in our education system, we've got some books, based on there. They're teaching us some moral values. But if you look around, you'll find that in spite of having these kinds of books, we are lacking in morals. We are lacking in those values. So what can be the reason of the same, right? Although this education system has done, I would say, a bit, or I would not bit, more than this, but we are lacking this somewhere, I think. So what is that, that aspect which we are lacking in, and that's why we are not able to inculcate those values, those I would say those learnings in the students or in the people, that they have lost these moral values, and they have lost these I would say good learnings. So what can be the reason, what where we are lacking? Is it the education system alone, or something else is also responsible for the same?
See, this is a very famous proverb: a person is known by the company he keeps. The same goes along with the line, a person's mind is known by the book he reads, right? So if you can see the last 100 years through your experiences, through your reading, I cannot say that you have to be there and have the tangible perception of it, because it's impossible, because we have the born year 90s, right?
Yeah.
But when I say this, that how it is becoming more complicated for everyone, despite being the fact that we have been the country where numerous literatures produced only on the moral philosophies, and still we are lacking this moral. And every single time we need moral goading to people, to youngsters. What is that reason for that? I simply says that your reading habits, it's okay that you have a good reading habits, but the second questions will be arising out after what kind of books you are reading. In the name of reading, many people are involved much in fictional novels and
Yes.
several other which are not at all helpful and not going to be very much constructive at all for you. And these are becoming the most insidious, can say, a very infections, or you can say problem for most of the youngsters, that they have somewhere selected a wrong pattern of reading in the name of learning new language called English language, or maybe in the learning of some other cultural aspects of some other societies. They have opted for something very negative, version of books. For example, we Easterns, this region is known for its Eastern philosophies such as morally based and several other spiritually based. So it is the right time for the introduction to be made to all those youngsters right from their elementary level. For example, these days you might have heard about those very regular experiences of the introductions of this kind of Bhagavad Gita
Mhm.
being to all possible institutions, may it be IIT, IIM, and students are becoming so much passionate about it. They are becoming so much ready. They are showing readiness towards reading this, and this has to be done at a larger level. I'm not saying that it must be confined to only India, because whenever we talk about issues like learning, and when we try to talk learning in the context of the development of the entire universe, so we have to take all the universe together, and we have to think as to how we can reintroduce or can make the reintroduction of this kind of literatures called scriptures to our new generation, so that this materialism could be subsided to a certain extent and be limited there with you only till the time you need it. And moreover, it will be very helpful to get you over this discombobulated mindset, which is usually with many of the youngsters, right? So therefore, I say introduction of the spiritual books is something could be the best solution. And I think it is also the reason, the absence of this introduction of books is the reason for why most of the youth are still having these issues, and they are still not doing good and becoming constructive in their life. So this is my understanding on this. Yes, over to you.
Yeah, so I think you really, whatever the answers you've given, I can relate all those answers to my life as well, and this is in a way what I also believe, and hopefully that whosoever listens to this podcast would also be getting something new and would also be uh, means getting the answer to the questions they have in their minds, and they will somehow be getting benefited somewhere. They will be getting benefited from the same, and we are going to
Right.
have some more good discussions in the days to come. And with this, till now, means now I'm gonna take a leave, and I'll be seeing you in the same, means in the same place and
Yeah.
at the same time. Till then, I'm taking a leave. See you.
Yeah. Good night. Bye.
Bye.